Good evening. Live from New York, the CC Radio Network is proud to bring you tonight's show, The Rebellious Rev and the Doc, where we talk about religion like you've never heard before. There's no evangelists here, just talk about religion with a twist. So let's get started and have some fun. Welcome our hosts for tonight, The Rebellious Rev and the Doc.
There is no heaven, there is no hell, there is only this world and its dark reflection. And we do not know in which of the two worlds we are.
You positive? And the Doc. Yes, we are only 30 minutes late. Pretty good for us. Except when they're talking about our show, then it's better never than late. I know. Well, if you read the blurb, ladies and gentlemen, you know that today's show has to do with a little bit of a continuation from Monday. When the Supreme Court hears arguments about same-sex marriage in the spring, they will be letting us know if it's going to be the law of the land. Well, that would be legally, but what about religion? How does religion figure in on this? Now, we had a caller on Monday named John, and John was very much against same-sex marriage for the very reason that he said it would shake organized religion to the core by forcing religious leaders to marry couples of the same sex. Now, I have to tell you, my son's first girlfriend got married 2 years ago, and she married another woman, and the service was performed by the rabbi from her conservative shul, her conservative temple. So, now that's progress. I don't expect an Orthodox rabbi to do it, but I do believe that it becomes a matter of conscience. We will probably find some rabbis in conservative Judaism and many more in Reform Judaism performing these marriages. But of course, that really doesn't mean anything if the couple is satisfied to just get married by a justice of the peace. Get married in court. Okay?
What John was more worried about was that possibly
Hello, you're on the air. Caller?
Hello?
Caller?
Yeah, hello? Hello?
Sounds like John.
Yeah, I called on Monday.
That's John.
Yeah.
We were just
I'm
talking
calling
about
back.
you.
You asked me to call back.
Yes, and I'm so glad you did. We were just quoting you.
Yeah, I have some Bible verses here that deal with the issue of homosexuality. I won't read the verses, but I'll give you where they're located. It's both Old Testament and New Testament.
Okay.
One comes out of the book of Leviticus, chapter 18. Yeah, chapter 18, and the verses are verse 22 and 29. So it's verses chapter 18 and it's verses 22 and 29. And then also coming out of the book of Leviticus, chapter 20, verse 13. Then you have from the book of Genesis, chapter 19 and chapter 18, also deal with the issue of homosexuality. Coming out of the New Testament, you have Romans chapter 1, and it goes it goes to verse 26 and 27. Then you have 1 Corinthians chapter 6 and verse 9. And then you have the first book of Timothy chapter 1 verse 10. And then you have the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 6 verse 9, and then the book of Jude chapter 7. Those were the references in the Bible where it deals with whether homosexuality is acceptable or not. And as I told you about the minister, his name is Dr. James David Manning. He has a church in Harlem, New York. His church is dealing with this issue now because he's being protested by the LGBT community because he puts on his church signs outside of his church that he does not agree with same-sex marriage. And he has a website and he has an internet talk show where he talks about this issue constantly on the air over the internet. And the address of the website is atlah.org. That's spelled ATLAH.org. So if anybody wants to go to that and try to listen to what he talks about. But you know, as I said on Monday, same-sex marriage is not something that the Christians, if they follow the precepts of the Bible, they can agree with. And I think it's going to be a controversial issue if it does become a federal law.
No doubt it's going to be controversial.
Yeah, it's going to be very controversial. I think it's going to fall under the same realm of abortion. When abortion was legalized in 1973, the Catholic Church never got behind that decision that the state made. And also, in terms of contraception, the Catholic Church never really accepted contraception either. So these are very controversial issues. I think it's going to be unsettled, but I think that the state is overreaching when it's getting into marriage in this way, because you're opening up churches to different types of legal activity. If you have ministers who refuse to perform the ceremony, you could have homosexuals go to a minister, ask him to perform the ceremony at his church. If he refuses, then he could be hit with a civil rights violation if it's a federal law. And it's the same way when in the South, when the African American protesters wanted to break down Jim Crow. You know, there were separate entrances for people who were black and people who were white, and when you went to the restaurant, the black people had to sit in a certain part of the restaurant, or they had to go around back, and the white people sat in a different part. And on the bus, they had to sit in separate spaces on the bus. Well, this was all part of the system. The only way that that system was broken up is African American leaders had to go to the federal government and say, we want these laws of segregation to be abolished. And if anyone engages in this, we want to be able to say this person is violating the civil rights of the person that they're making to do this too. So that's the only way those laws were abolished. They had to go to the federal government to get them abolished. And this is going to be the same situation. The homosexuals are only going to be able to make churches accept them. They're going to have to go to the federal government and make the federal government make laws that protect them and protect their right to be married. And once those laws are in place, then if you have a minister that feels it's not right, they don't have the right to go against what the federal government says. Otherwise, they could be jailed, or they could have to pay a heavy fine.
All right, John, we have another caller. We just want to acknowledge the other caller, so hold on.
All right, okay.
John, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear it, yeah. Somebody else talking?
John, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear.
Okay, can you hear both of us, John?
Yes.
Okay, good. That's good.
Is the other person talking?
Yeah, I don't know what happened. The reason we came on late today is we've been having trouble with our equipment. It seems like one mic works, and then we finally got both of them to work, or so we thought, and now we're back to just one. Rev, maybe if you spoke into this one, he'll hear you.
Well.
Hear me now? John, do you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, hello.
Yeah, hi, John. I'm sorry. Just kind of hard to hear me today. What I was going to say, I'm hoping that the government stays with the policy of separation of state and
Church and state.
Church and state, and does not force any action be forced to do something that's against their religion. They should just have to be able to do their civil union or marriage. It doesn't really matter how you call it, but they should stick with a civil type ceremony or by somebody that's willing to do it. But I don't think the government should be able to force anybody to do it, to perform a marriage when it's against their religion.
You know, I don't know if you heard, John, but when we first started the show, I happened to mention my son's girlfriend from elementary school, mind you. And she recently married another woman 2 years ago. And the rabbi that performed the ceremony was from her family synagogue, and it was a conservative rabbi. Now, I don't expect that Orthodox rabbis would perform the service, but I think it's up to the conscience of the individual rabbi. You know, some conservative rabbis may not, some may, but I think more Reformed rabbis will probably, perform the ceremony.
I don't object to anybody performing it. I object to anybody.
I don't see how they can be reformed if they're going against directly what Scripture says. And we know what happened in Sodom and Gomorrah. I mean, God searched the whole city for someone who was righteous, and he only found Lot and his family. And he told Lot to leave the city. He sent angels into the city to go and get Lot's family out of the city. When the angels arrived, the men in the city were trying to have sex with the angels.
Right.
And as they will, and the angels told Lot and his family, do not turn around, because fire and brimstone is going to come down. It's going to burn the city up.